The Charlotte 49ers football season is finally over. God bless America. The 49ers finished with a 1-11 record and went 0-8 in the American Conference. This is the worst in around 8 years, the second time in program history that they have put up a 1-11 season. The only win of the entire season came against Monmouth, an FCS team from New York, by merely a touchdown. And this isn't one of those situations where you can point to a tough schedule or bad luck. This was a season where nothing worked for more than maybe a drive or two at a time. The last time Charlotte went 1-11 was 2017, back when they were in Conference USA. This was when the program was still 3 years old. Now this time, you're a decade into the FBS. You have the transfer portal, you have NIL, you have new facilities, and you still finish 1-11. Let's run through how we got here. Charlotte was outscored 453 to 205 on the year, and that's giving up about 37 points per game while only scoring 17. In today's American, you're not surviving with that kind of scoring margin. The season opened with losses to App State, UNC, and then finally a win over Monmouth. Those first 3 games were kind of indicative of what we were going to go through as a team. The App State loss was one of the most embarrassing in program history. You lose in your own backyard, and you lose to what is supposedly an in-state rival. Clearly, that is a one-sided rivalry. And then after these 3 games, it went straight downhill. Rice won 28-17. South Florida dropped 54 on us. Army won 24-7. Temple won 49-14. North Texas hung 54-20. ECU put up 48. UTSA won 28-7. And the 2 games to end the year, Georgia beat us 35-3, and Tulane won 27-0. There wasn't a single American Conference game where Charlotte scored more than 22 points. Not one all season. Let's talk about our offense. Quarterback play was a revolving door because of our injuries. Loftus finished with 128 completions on 232 attempts, 1,415 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. He looked shaky at best, and that was because he came in for our starter, Connor Harrell. Before Harrell's season-ending injury, he put up 64 completions on 96 attempts, 737 pass yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and had a 66.7% completion rate. Zach Wilkie threw for 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He was 33 of 51 in passing. And the Charlotte offense looked so much better when Harrell was there. He was a very accurate passer, and he wasn't afraid to run the ball. As a team, Charlotte threw for 2,448 yards, 14 pass touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and allowed 29 sacks. Now let's discuss our run game. As a team, Charlotte rushed for 981 yards on 364 carries. This adds up to 2.7 yards per carry, and they finished with 5 rushing touchdowns the entire season. To not crack 1,000 yards is abysmal, and that is something that might as well send the 49ers back to the FCS. Rod Gainey Jr. led the team with 260 yards on 74 carries at 3.5 yards per carry. Henry Rutledge, who was supposed to be one of the star returnees, was basically out all season. We had no explosive run game, no consistency, and no rotation you could really rely on. Finally, with the receiving room, this was one of Charlotte's only bright spots all season. Javen Nicholas, the LSU transfer, had 60 catches for 740 yards and 5 touchdowns. EJ Mason had 31 catches for 423 yards and 4 touchdowns. And finally, senior Sean Brown added 36 catches for 508 yards, averaging 14.1 yards per catch. These 3 basically carried the passing offense all by themselves. Let's talk about the defense. Defensively, the story is very simple. There was basically no pass rush, no depth to go with it, and the defense spent way too many snaps on the field. Charlotte's defense totaled 924 tackles, and they recorded only 14 sacks across 12 games. The secondary had 7 interceptions, and our leading tacklers were this. Reed Williford, the senior captain, had 74 tackles and 4 sacks. Caden Schmitz had 65 tackles and 2 interceptions. And Jacorius Conley had 64 tackles and 3 interceptions. In the American Conference, you cannot survive when you generate barely 1 sack per game. The quarterbacks had all day, every single Saturday, and that is not a winning blueprint. Obviously, one of the elephants in the room this season was the fact that the team was getting shredded by injuries. Connor Harrell, season-ending injury. Jaden McGowan from Boston College, season-ending injury. Henry Rutledge, season-ending injury. This alone kills your offensive rhythm, the rotation, and the explosiveness. But the bigger issue going forward was that our roster is extremely senior-heavy. On offense, we will have 14 seniors graduating. On defense, we will have 16 seniors graduating, including Captain Reed Williford. And then on special teams, just 1 senior graduating. But this brings us to 31 total graduating players, not to mention everybody who could potentially hop in the portal because they don't want to be at a program that is underfunded but also goes 1-11. If Jaden McGowan and Henry Rutledge can somehow get medical red shirts, our number drops from 31 to 29. But either way, Charlotte is losing way too many players. This is beyond roster turnover. Next year, we're going to have a brand spanking new roster. When we talk about Tim Albin, he is a program builder, but the reality is that Charlotte hired him a little too late into the coaching cycle. And that's not a knock on who he is as a coach, but many other programs got their guy and had teams ready to turn over. Meanwhile, the Biff Poggi pipeline was over, and Albin was focused on winning with Ohio. He only brought us 4 guys to Charlotte, a sizable difference when matched with other programs facing a coaching carousel. This was stepping into somebody else's roster, already injured, already thin, already behind in NIL. And almost zero time to patch any of it up. I wouldn't say the season was Albin's fault. He literally wasn't given a chance to build with the foundation, and he did what he could do. You can't fix all those injuries, and I think maybe we'd have had a game or two more in the win column if not everybody had gotten hurt. But you can play the if game all you want. The reality is that the 49ers finished 1-11. And the part that may be difficult to accept is the fact that Charlotte didn't just go 1-11 because of play calling or the scheme, as much as I despise Todd Fitch and his play calling. They went 1-11 because of the lack of NIL funding. This is the American Athletic Conference. North Texas is very funded. Tulane is very funded. South Florida, ECU, Memphis, all of these teams have viable resources. You cannot compete in the modern college football landscape with 2017 NIL support. Look at the numbers again. Team rushing, 981 yards, 2.7 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns all season. We had 14 sacks all season, allowed 453 points. This is beyond bad coaching. It's a roster that is outgunned every single week, compiled of JUCO guys and youngins that are just too inexperienced to step on the field. The NIL determines who you keep, who you lose, who you attract, and whether you even have depth after injuries. Charlotte is behind in all of that, and until that changes, it does not matter who the coach is. You cannot transfer portal your way out without resources. So in my opinion, where does Charlotte go from here? Obviously, in this portal, we have to recruit hard. But where does our funding come from? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. If the NIL steps up, which I mean, come on. Charlotte could rebuild fast. The roster is wide open, the staff is new, and there's room to build an identity, but are we going to see that? Probably not. If the NIL stays where it is, the program as a whole will also stay where it is. And that is the truth of Charlotte football. This was a terrible season. Covering it was even more painful. And more videos are to come in this offseason, but I'm just thanking my lucky stars that this season is over. 1-11 in Albin's first season. This was nothing short of painful. Right now, I don't even think we would be considered as a stepping stone program. We are a bottom 3, if not the worst, in college football. And that is out of 136 teams. I thank you all so much for watching. If there's any video suggestions, leave them below in the comments. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.